Hey everyone, it's the Firefly Captain here, and today marks 5 years of the NFC. I can't even believe I'm saying that, but it's true. It has been 5 years since I first started this channel. And so of course I wanted to make another special video. This one actually is quite a bit different compared to past years. It's not an Arsenal video or anything. We are actually headed back in time of the NFC, and we're gonna see how the channel has kind of changed over the years, and also to a degree how I have even changed over the years, and to also see how the channel has grown. I'll be doing this by dividing all 5 years of the NFC starting from the very beginning, and then each anniversary indicates the start of another year of the NFC. So with that being said, are you guys ready to take a look back at the history of the NFC? Let's get started. We now go back to the very beginning. February 18th, 2019, I uploaded my first video, which was this Arsenal video.
Hello everyone, I'm Austin, and today we're going to be taking a look at my huge Nerf arsenal.
That was me? In my first year of the NFC, I'd already started my pretty typical series of like Nerf thrifting and my reviews. I also had done a little bit of Nerf news in this first year, which is actually something that I have not done in quite a while. Let me know if that's maybe something you want to see more of in the future. Speaking of Nerf thrifting, who remembers this old style where I was just like on the carpet talking about the blaster, and at this point I had not shown my face yet, but that would actually end up happening within the first year of my channel. Yeah, but this was also the same era of my channel where I made thrifting videos of nothing? What? And just to clarify why that was ever a thing, I guess I had this old idea in my head that I had to document every single trip. Even if I hadn't found anything, I still had to document it. Not exactly necessary, so good thing I improved in that area. If you were a fan of the channel during this time period and you're still sticking around, you, my friend, are an OG. Especially if you recognize a certain profile picture that would have looked something like this. And now we fast forward 1 year from the start of the NFC. And by this point, my video quality has already improved quite a bit. For the first anniversary of the NFC, I did actually start a new tradition of having Arsenal videos for every anniversary. Then later on, I would end up making my first ever intro. Not to mention, in this year, not only did I reach 100 subscribers, but then later on I even got to 200 subscribers, so it was actually a pretty big year in terms of growth of the channel. Near the end of this year, the Firefly Captain did get another change, and the profile picture would have looked something like this. We now move on to the third year of the NFC, and by this point, my videos have improved even more, not only in just the overall editing and styling of them, but I think you could even say that by this point I was starting to develop a little bit more confidence. I was starting to have a little bit more fun with the videos. And this year I did end up making changes to my thrifting series. I stated earlier how I was making videos for every single trip, but I actually did change it to be monthly videos, which was definitely a better system. I did also end up making another new intro. This intro was also the first one to feature my actual logo. Up until now I had just been using the official Nerf Firefly Tech logo, which is cool and of course was a part of the whole theme of the channel. But at some point I did realize I should probably start using something that's a little bit more of my own creation. So I went ahead and made this logo, of course very heavily inspired by the official logo. It even has the actual Firefly in it, but it essentially depicts me kind of like guarding the Firefly with a marauder in my hand. And another thing that happened this year was the creation of the Nightlight, which I consider to be my first more proper mod. And it also marked the start of the new Night series. And this year was another big one in terms of growth of subscribers. I not only hit 300, but also 400 subscribers within this same year. Although there were lots of changes to other things, the gear of the Firefly Captain remained the same. We now move on to year number 4, starting in 2022. This year did end up breaking the tradition of the anniversary Arsenal videos. Of course, this year was no exception to improvements in content quality. There were, of course, just general little things that I just continued to improve on, but also I believe it was within this year that I adopted new theming for my thumbnails that I decided to also keep as a consistent formatting, and I still use it today. There was also another change to my thrifting series where it was now actually a whole new series called Thrifting Roundup, where now it wasn't like a time-based thing, but rather when the bin was actually filled up. I did also end up making 2 new Night Blasters in this year, both the Night Guardian, and then a lot later on within the year was the Night Spark. In terms of subscriber growth this year, it wasn't huge, but it was still growth nevertheless. And at the very tail end of this year, I uploaded something I had never done before, music. Although this cassette tape was not actually existing during the time, but this album was what I had published that day. And it was yet another change to the Firefly Captain's gear, which would have looked like this. And now we have approached the more modern era of the NFC, with the 5th year, starting in 2023, up until now. And one big thing that I wanted to talk about was the Arsenal room. This was huge, guys. I had wanted to do this not only just for myself, period. It was like a dream of mine, especially as a kid, to have an awesome room like this. But also for the channel. I mean, it makes such a great space for recording. And I just think it ends up creating such a huge leap for me, you know, with my channel and everything. I still can't even believe I have this. It's incredible. And I will say that where the NFC is right now, I think is a more colorful and vibrant era. And we're kind of at the peak where the peak lies right now. I did get yet another intro, but this one was the first one to feature my NFC anthem, the Captain's Command, and what is actually now the Captain's March with the new version that was released. The old song was actually not made by me, so it just feels good, you know, to have my own creation at the start of every video. And within this past year, I did end up reaching 500 subscribers, where I currently stand as of making this video is 557 subscribers. Thank you everyone so much. And there was another creation into the Night series with the Night Legend, and there is more to come with the Night series. I'll kind of talk more about that kind of stuff in just a second. Also, within this past year, I have continued to improve upon my music. I've uploaded more songs and stuff, and even right now I have projects where I'm really trying to improve my music. And of course there was still another change to the look of the Firefly Captain. This one is still a lot more recent. Most of you guys should recognize this one, as it would have been like this. And that, everyone, was the past of the NFC. But what about the future? I do not have any plans to leave the hobby anytime soon, and I got some ideas of things that I can do, so I will continue to be making content for you all. You may notice, though, that like uploads have gotten maybe a little bit more scarce. That's just kind of how it is nowadays with college and everything. You know, something like that. That's going to be my top priority. So it just kind of feels harder nowadays to find the time to do it. But again, like, I have things I can do. It's just about finding the time for it. I upload when I can, when I have something to give, and when I also find the time to give it. One thing that I always think about whenever I look back into the past is just how crazy it is with your standards changing, right? So like maybe at some point I'm like, oh yeah, the content that I'm making now is so much better than what I used to make, right? But then later on from that point, you're looking back at that moment and you're like, no, this is like my best content now. And it's crazy how that continues to change. That's kind of what I was saying with like the peak where it is right now, because that always changes. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this brief history of the channel, and I want to thank you all for 5 years of the NFC. Thank you for watching.